Action.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Rogues Den show. Today I have Emma back with me.
Yeah, we are back with Danny.
With Danny, that's right, because Daniel has decided to be sick. Good work, Dan. Can't rely on you, can I? Jeez. Anyway, talking about reliable things, we're going to talk about Jurassic Park / Jurassic World, because the last film in the franchise is just about to come out in cinemas everywhere. So let's get straight into it. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Sick.
That's cool.
Danny says yeah. Let's do it. Alright guys, this episode we're going to talk about Jurassic Park / there's a little slash.
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World. And what do we know about Jurassic Park? I mean, that's where it all started, right,
Yeah.
for the franchise.
The first one came out in all the way back in 1993 on the 2nd of September.
1993. Was that before you were born?
Yes.
Before Emma was born, in fact. That's how long ago
In fact,
the movie came out?
it was before Dan was born.
In fact, it was before dinosaurs were born. No, it wasn't that long ago. Yes, 1993 was when the first movie came out, and I believe that Spielberg didn't really want to do the movie, and the only reason why he agreed to do it was that the studio would greenlight his Schindler's List movie to then, if he did Jurassic Park first.
Yeah. So
There you go. So we almost didn't have a Spielberg Jurassic Park movie, but luckily enough, we did. And then the budget for the original film didn't allow for them to do the entire film with animatronics. So Spielberg had to get creative, and this is where I think the magic of cinema really comes to life, especially with the Jurassic Park movies. So what happened is that they actually, he enlisted his longtime friend Stan Winston, who is a god in cinema, and if you don't know who Stan Winston is, turn off this show right now. You do not deserve to watch any more of the Rogues Den show. If you do know who Stan Winston is, then stay along for the journey. So, Stan Winston is the guy who is the mastermind behind Terminator, the Predator suit, aliens, all those really cool creatures and stuff like that, especially from Star Wars days and all that kind of stuff. A lot of his crew worked on those as well. So Stan Winston came in with the help of a few Hollywood legends. So Phil Tippett, who is a stop motion mastermind. A lot of the films back in those days featured his work. And Dennis Muren, I think his name is. Dennis Muren, yep. So he was the special effects supervisor on Star Wars, Indiana Jones, E.T., so he's worked with Spielberg a few times. So these guys got together and they built the dinosaurs life-size. Now obviously the budget didn't allow for them to build all the dinosaurs life-size, so they cheated a little bit. Some of them they only built the heads, some of them built the heads and the torso, and some of them they only built the feet.
yeah, I mean, it's one thing being met by a full dinosaur, but imagine being met by half a dinosaur.
That's right. And then they used CGI to fill in the rest, which is like really, really super early days CGI.
Yeah.
And even if you watch the movie today, you can see the kind of computers they were using. So that was kind of what they had to work with, right?
Yeah.
So, and then Michael Lantieri, he was the visual effects supervisor on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And he was brought in to do a lot of the T-Rex skeleton work. So they built the big T-Rex life size, which was pretty cool. The problems they had during this was that a lot of the times during filming it rained, or they needed it to be raining, and you know the centerpiece bit where the T-Rex comes out and attacks the two cars, it's all raining. They actually had to film that in segments, like turn off all the rain and then pat dry the T-Rex down with towels because otherwise it got too waterlogged and would always fall over. So there you go. So there's some things. Tell us about the cast of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, so for the original trilogy of Jurassic Park, we had the talents of Jeff Goldblum,
Yep.
Laura Dern. We had Sam Neill, who was cast because Harrison Ford was busy. And then we had Richard Attenborough, who came out of retirement to do the role because Sean Connery wouldn't do it.
Wow, there you go. I didn't know that one. So that's a really cool bit of information. So yeah, so Sam Neill was brought in last minute because they really wanted Harrison Ford, but his schedule was too busy for him to come on to the project. And then, which I'm really glad actually, because I can't imagine Jurassic Park without Sam Neill. So that was really good.
Yeah.
One of those planets aligning kind of thing. And then, so Richard Attenborough coming in and doing his thing and being that iconic character now that's welcome to Jurassic Park. Which would have been a little bit better than, yes, pussy, welcome to Jurassic Park. Adam's lost it in the background. That was a terrible impersonation of Sean Connery, but you get the idea. Then fast forward a few years. Well, actually, I also found out today that they actually finished 12 days ahead of schedule, which was that's just mind-boggling that they managed to do that. And it was all because Spielberg wanted to start immediate work on Schindler's List, so he pretty much just went cut, bye, and went straight to the next set and started filming Schindler's List.
So Spielberg only did the first two, and then we had Joe Johnston come on for the final one.
Yeah, and just before we go into the third one, I'm one of the few people that absolutely loves the second film. I love that movie so much. I love the introduction of Vince Vaughn's character, and I love Julianne Moore coming in there as well. So it was good to have that Spielberg feel in the second film. And I think one of the best scenes out of any movie is literally the Jeff Goldblum yawning on the subway, and there's like palm trees behind him, and sort of you hear that scream, but it's actually the sound of the subway train coming in, and he just sits on the train. It's a great bit of film work. So moving into movie number 3 of the Jurassic Park series.
Jurassic Park
Joe Johnston takes over directing duties. So he was Spielberg's first assistant director on the first 2 films. And then he sort of took over the directorial duties. Spielberg took a step back and just became executive producer. And this is where we start seeing more of the CG coming into play and less animatronics. They did build the Spinosaurus, but I think you can start to see that this is where the franchise starts to fall apart. And it's that age-old argument of CGI versus animatronic, you know.
Yeah.
So I think if you can try and stick closer to practical effects, it just lends to more realism. So yeah. And then skip forward a whole bunch of time, and what happens?
We get the Jurassic World trilogy.
The Jurassic World trilogy. So, and that was spearheaded by who's the director of those films?
Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So in those ones, what do we know? We know that Chris Pratt comes in.
Yeah, and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
They become like the main cast.
Yeah, and very CGI heavy.
Yeah.
And the other really big thing to note too, whether you guys know this at home, is that there was a change in screen ratio, like format. I'll get the word out correctly. Format. So Spielberg used to film in a really, really high ratio, so quite narrow film and really, really high, and that gave you that sort of that sense of scale really, really well. Whereas Colin Trevorrow went to widescreen, and so you actually lose that sort of sense of scale. And I'll put up 2 pictures now. This is one of the classic Brontosaurus image from the very first film, and you can see now Sam Neill and Laura Dern's character looking up at the Brontosaurus, and it just looks massive. It just shows scale so well. Now compare it to this image from Jurassic World, and I think this is the second film, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and it's a picture of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it doesn't look big. It looks quite small. There's no sense of scale, and that's something that's very interesting and an interesting choice. And that's nothing against Colin Trevorrow as a filmmaker, but it just shows having that experience like Spielberg to make that decision early on really changed the way the film comes across to us. So yeah. All right. So what's the next film after that was
Fallen Kingdom was the second one.
Yep. And that was a little bit about a volcano that was erupting on the island.
Yeah, they had to get like all the dinosaurs off the island.
Yeah. And then what's the latest film?
Dominion.
In cinemas everywhere.
I don't know what that word means, but it sounds kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dominion is like a home, a place that's governed by something or a kingdom. So it's basically playing on the fact that this has become the dinosaurs' dominion. It's become their world, their home.
Yeah.
So we have to now share it with them.
Yeah, and in this new one, we're getting all the old cast back, like Jeff Goldblum.
Fantastic.
Yeah, like they're all coming back for this one.
The only person that didn't come back is Sir Richard Attenborough because he is currently dead. So that's a little bit difficult.
Yeah. But basically Chris he either joins forces or seeks out the help of Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill.
That's right. Yeah, and it's good to have those guys back. So,
yeah.
And Laura Dern as well.
Yeah.
She's a brilliant actress, so it's good to have her back. And then, so they team up with Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt. This one seems to be centered on the fact that somebody has stolen Blue's baby raptor. Yeah. And it's funny because the way that this whole franchise has evolved, originally the books were written by Michael Crichton. Yeah. He wrote the first book and he wrote a second book as well.
Yeah.
And he had started writing the story outline for a third novel, which is what they were originally going to base the sequels on. And way back then, the third film was going to be about dinosaurs crossbreeding with humans, like experimental DNA to create dinosaur super soldiers, which was the most ridiculous storyline ever. And I'm glad Spielberg said no.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that we did forget to mention the music composers.
Well, we can't forget to mention the music. So the music is by the maestro himself, Mr. John Williams, Sir John Williams. Even if he's not knighted, he is in my eyes.
Yeah.
The legendary composer, and we couldn't have, the Jurassic Park music, that synonymous music that you hear every time. You're like, there it is. And funnily enough, he actually wrote two main themes. He wrote the dun 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 dun. He wrote that part, and then he wrote another part, which was the he wrote those two bits, right? He played them for Steven Spielberg, and Spielberg went, I love both of them, can we just use both? And he went, righto. And so he actually wrote the two pieces of music into one piece of music, and that's the score that you hear today. And he did that again in Indiana Jones. So there you go. So apparently he likes writing lots of different themes, and Spielberg just goes, use all of them. Cross forward to the new films. Who's the composer for the new one?
Michael Giacchino. I don't
know. Good work, yes, you got it right, Giacchino. So, and he's a great composer. He did the latest Batman movie. He did Star Trek with Chris Pine. So I'm glad the franchise is in the right hands to carry it forward without John Williams at the helm. But yes, we can't have Jurassic Park without John Williams. So
yeah, and he wasn't actually the composer in the third one. That was Don
Davis.
That was Don Davis.
That's right. He stepped up. Yeah. So Don Davis was music supervisor for John Williams for a very long time, which is why I'd say he took over that role. So there you go. There's the timeline and some interesting facts about Jurassic Park.
And I think Jurassic World Dominion actually comes out today. In my research it said the 6th of June.
I'm kidding. I'll finish the show. Then I'll go. All right, so coming up next. What's next?
We have Josh Vittles.
Oh, and what's he talking about this week?
Movies filmed in Sydney.
Ooh, that'll be an interesting one. That'll be cool. We'll see some interesting facts about filming in and around Sydney, because we like movies over here at the Rogues Den Show. So stick around for Josh Vittles. He's coming up next. Welcome to the next segment of the Rogues Den Show, and I am joined this time not by Jothor, but backed by Josh
The
2.0.
normal Joshua.
Oh, no, it's the 2.0
The
version.
2.0 version
That's
of
right.
Joshua.
Yeah, because he's got the haircut still.
Yeah, and still remnants of Thor.
Oh, still remnants.
Yeah.
What's the remnant?
On my t-shirt.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
still,
right.
Still remnants of it, but not a huge amount.
Sneaky.
I'm about to imagine something.
Oh, yeah. So imagine that with Josh Fiddles, because he's going to talk all things filming in and around Sydney.
And New South Wales.
So Sydney and New South Wales. Not just New South Wales, not just Sydney, but both.
Both.
Let's do it. All right, so Josh, tell me, where did we film stuff?
We filmed stuff around at Fox Studios in Sydney.
That's right. Fox Studios is one of our biggest studios in Australia. Not as big as the Village Roadshow Warner Brothers Studios in the Gold Coast.
No, it's not.
But we still do some pretty cool stuff here. What have we filmed in and around Sydney?
The Matrix, all three of the movies, the first three.
That's right.
The first Matrix movie was filmed all around Sydney, entirely around Sydney.
That's exactly right. That's definitely what happened.
You know the fountain in Martin Place, don't you? That's the
Wait. I don't know it personally, but I have seen it before and I have walked past it, so yes.
You know what that scene's from? It's from the lady in the red dress scene.
He's right again. He is. And in fact, if you watch it very closely, frame by frame, you can actually see Commonwealth Bank in the background.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
The subway scene out of The Matrix was filmed in the disused platforms at Central Station, if you might...
St. James.
St. James Station.
Yeah, corrected you on a fact.
Yeah, the subway scene was filmed in the disused platforms at St. James Station.
And actually, so there was one scene, I don't know if you remember, Josh, where they do like the camera goes around where like Neo and Agent Smith are in the air.
Yeah.
So what they did with that, they actually had to put that into some very early CGI technology.
Really? Did they?
And if you watch very, very carefully that back, all the stuff that's in the background is actually 2D.
Is it?
It's not 3D.
Well,
there's a garbage lid that's up against the wall, and it's actually a photograph.
Oh, really?
it looks horrible. If you watch it back in slow-mo, you can see all the mistakes.
In slow motion.
Yeah.
The bridge scene from The Matrix was filmed near Central Station, near Central Station.
Do you know the name of the bridge?
The Adams Street Bridge.
The Adams Street Bridge. That's right. We have an Adam here, and that's his bridge.
Yes. The other two movies were filmed mostly in the studio. There was a little bit filmed out and about.
Yeah. So did you know that the filmmakers requested to shut down the Western Sydney Highway?
Did they?
And the New South Wales government said no.
Did they?
So you know what they did?
What did they do?
They went and built their own highway.
Did they?
Yeah.
The next movie...
That's pretty impressive.
The next movie is Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible yes, 2. Mr. Tom Cruise comes to Australia when he was dating Nicole Kidman.
That movie was actually set in Sydney.
It was set in Sydney.
It was actually set in Sydney. So you might recognise a lot of our landmarks in that bridge, a lot of Sydney's landmarks.
So Tom had a really good working relationship with John Paulson.
Yes,
I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes, he was the director.
He's one of the actors in the movie.
One of the actors in the movie.
So, and he's a big advocate for Australian cinema.
Yes, he is.
So it was his idea to set it in Australia.
Yeah, that was good. It was good for us. You might reckon the scene on the island was filmed at Bear Island.
Yes, I remember seeing that.
Where you see the cars driving across the island and then falling into the water.
Yeah, and then he takes off on a motocycle.
Yes, he does.
And he chases Doug Ray Scott's character on a motorcycle.
Yes, he does.
And then the biggest mistake in cinematic history is that the road bikes instantly become dirt bikes.
Yes, they do.
From one scene to the next.
Yes, they do. There was
John Woo, I know what you did.
Mission Impossible wasn't just filmed in Sydney, it was actually filmed out at Broken Hill as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was. Some scenes were filmed out at Broken Hill.
What part did they film out there?
I think towards the beginning of the movie is where it was filmed.
Yes, and they did film a little bit also back overseas in the United States.
Yes, they did.
He's climbing the rocks in Utah.
Yes, he is. Do you want to know a superhero movie filmed in Sydney?
No, I believe you're going to tell me.
Superman Returns.
Oh, yes, that's right. So when Kevin Spacey was the bad guy,
Yes.
he still is a bad guy.
Do you want to know a surprising? Do you want to know a surprising fact about Superman Returns?
What?
Some of those scenes were actually filmed around New South Wales.
Yeah, regional New South Wales
Regional
got
New South
some screen time.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where?
You know the farm scene out of the movie.
Yes. Yep.
You know where that was filmed?
I have a vague idea. So if you've got Tamworth here and you've got Gunnedah here, it's roughly there.
It was filmed between near Gunnedah and Tamworth.
That's right. Yeah. On a farm, no doubt.
On a farm.
Yes. So, I mean, who would imagine the farm scene on a farm?
Another surprising fact. You know the fountain in Martin Place I mentioned earlier from the Matrix movie. That's where the car scene is filmed out of Superman Returns, where the car goes into the fountain.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, they did a lot of work here. Where did they film the big museum scene?
That was filmed at the Australian Museum. It doubled up as the Metropolis.
I mean, who would have thought, right? Like, use a museum for a museum?
Yeah. Do you know where the bank robbing scene was filmed out of Superman Returns?
Nowhere.
Newcastle.
Newcastle?
It was filmed up
What?
in Newcastle.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it was. It was filmed up
There
in
you
one of
go.
the beautiful buildings in Newcastle.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's pretty cool.
You might recognise Fort Scratchley in that scene in the background.
I'm going to have to rewatch this movie now, I think.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Another scene for that was the hospital scene was filmed in the outside Wynyard train station. So
Oh, yeah.
the General Hospital. You might recognise it today.
So what else can you tell me that was filmed in and around Sydney?
There was an Australian movie Looking for Alibrandi. That was an Australian movie filmed in Sydney.
Yeah.
I've watched that movie.
You've watched it.
It's all about belonging. That movie is all about.
Well, that's a good subject to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what else was filmed in Sydney?
Peter Rabbit.
Really?
Yeah, Peter Rabbit. The first Peter Rabbit movie was filmed in Sydney.
There you go.
You know Windermere Station, don't you?
Yep.
Have you noticed Mortuary Station in there?
I haven't, no.
In Sydney?
I haven't noticed it, but you're going to tell me.
It was filmed in Sydney.
Oh, was it filmed in there?
Yeah, you know where the rabbit jumps onto the train. That was filmed at. That was used. That was filmed there. Was used the use of CGI.
Oh, well, actually, speaking of CGI, I believe Sydney makes an appearance as a CGI
Yes,
location in what movie?
In Pacific Rim.
And there's another one.
And Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. But you got me on the Pacific Rim because it does actually, in fact, make an appearance in
Yes,
Pacific
Sydney
Rim.
does
the
make
second one.
a futuristic Sydney.
Yeah, that's right.
A
Yeah.
futuristic
That was when
Sydney.
they were building Barangaroo.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right. Yeah.
Another one would have been the Wolverine.
The Wolverine, yes.
Yeah,
yes
the Wolverine was
They
filmed.
filmed at the Chinese Friendship Gardens there, even though it
Yes.
was set in Japan.
Yes, even though
they
it was
made
set
it
in
look like
Japan,
Japan.
yes.
But yes.
Another
very true.
Another one I forgot
And
to
Origins was filmed in
Yes,
Sydney
Origins
on
was
Cockatoo Island.
Yes, it was on Cockatoo Island. Another Marvel movie I forgot to mention in my last podcast was Shang-Chi. That was filmed in Sydney.
That was filmed in Sydney, yes. A lot of it
Yeah.
was filmed in Western Sydney as well.
Yes, in Western Sydney.
What about one of the most famous movies of all time? A pioneer of Australian cinema. I'll give you a clue. It's about a guy that's a little bit mad.
Mad Max.
Yes!
Mad Max was filmed.
Do you know where it was filmed?
Not sure, but
Starts with B. It's a hill that's not doing so well.
Broken Hill.
That's right.
Broken Hill. Yes, Broken Hill.
Good job. Yes. So then they wanted to film the Mad Max Fury Road in Australia as well, but you know
Yeah.
what happened?
What happened?
A lot of rain,
Well, a lot of rain.
which
in
was
the
good for the
outback.
farmers,
Yeah.
not so good for the film.
No, not so.
So
good
they
for
actually
the
had
film.
to uproot all of the production and transfer over to Namibia in
Yeah,
Africa.
They did. Yeah.
But they're filming the sequel here right now.
Yes, they're filming the sequel.
The prequel.
the
Sorry.
prequel
or
to
like a
it,
spin-off
yes.
prequel. It's called
Yes.
Furiosa.
We'll have some pictures to show where those movies were filmed. you
Yes,
know?
yeah, we will. All right, have you got any more useful information and facts about filming in and around Sydney? I'm sure we've forgotten a few films, so if you know any, drop them in the comments below.
There was Muriel's Wedding. That was another movie filmed in Sydney.
Yeah. What about the latest movie that you're very excited about?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah. Where was that filmed?
In and around Sydney.
Yeah. Can you remember one specific location?
Centennial Park.
That's right. See, can't trick him. He knows.
There has been some other movies filmed in Sydney, but it's shared with other studios around Australia.
Yeah, and there have been heaps of movies filmed in Queensland, but we won't talk about them today.
No, not today.
All right, not today. No, just Sydney, New South Wales.
There was another movie that was set in Sydney. A cartoon movie was set in Sydney. Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire. That was set in Australia. Even though it was not filmed here, but it was set in Australia.
Wow.
It's the first time.
Joshy, you and your facts.
It's the first time the Scooby-Doo gang visits Australia in Sydney.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for all your amazing information.
That's okay.
And what are you going to talk about in 2 weeks' time? Because we've got a public holiday.
Yes, we do. Public holiday, long weekend.
So what are you going to talk about in 2 weeks?
I'm probably going to talk about Australian geography. So where cities and towns.
Am I going to test you on that?
Yeah, you're going to test me on that?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to try and tell me where they are.
You also got to know what region they're in.
That's
what the
right.
names of
Well,
the
you got to
are.
know.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the question.
Yeah.
See how you go with that one, eh?
Okay.
All right. Well, coming up next is Rusi with the news. So thanks again for joining us with Imagine That. With Josh.
Rusi's up next with all the week's news.
That's right. Thanks, Josh. Thank you. You can say toodles this week?
No.
No toodles?
No toodles.
All right, toodles a week after.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh. Hello and welcome to the news. I'm Rusi Komatai. Hope you're having a fabulous week. Sad news for this week's segment as we say farewell to the Australian serial Neighbours after 37 years on air. Neighbours first premiered on Australian television in March 18th, 1985, after the idea of the show was formed by Reg Watson, who was inspired by British drama television programs. After being rejected by Channel 9 for the first pitch, Watson eventually got it picked up with Channel 7, where it started on Australian television before getting picked up by Channel 10, where it remains today. In the UK, it premiered on the BBC on October 27th, 1986, before the UK also changed to Channel 5 in 2008. The show was filmed by Fremantle Studios in Pine Oak Court and Global Television Studios in Forest Hill in South Vermont in Melbourne. The show has launched the acting careers of some of the big-name stars in the world today. To name a few, we have Margot Robbie, Liam Hemsworth, Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce, as well as the musical careers of stars such as Delta Goodrem and Kylie Minogue. Neighbours has been known for some iconic moments during their 37-year on-air run. These have included the wedding of Scott Robinson and Charlene Mitchell in 1987, which still remains one of the most well-known and referenced moments in the show. Another moment is Harold Bishop drowning out to sea in 1991, and between 2001 and 2004 we saw the iconic moments, including the death of Madge Bishop, Susan Kennedy's amnesia storyline, the wedding of Tony Rebecca and Dee Bliss. Lassiter's Hotel burns down in 2004, which included the return of Paul Robinson, and the more recent one being a tornado descending upon Ramsay Street in 2014. Apart from those moments, the show has also celebrated some milestones in the last few years, including being the first Australian drama to include a gay wedding, in 2019 the introduction of a transgender female character, and this year the introduction of a disability character and a Christian Papua New Guinea lesbian character. The cancellation came after the UK announced it would be stopping its funds towards the program, leaving Fremantle and Channel 10 unable to fund the show without the international contribution. With this announcement, the filming will conclude on June 10th, 2022, and the final ever episode 8903, will air on August 1st, 2022 for both Australian and UK audiences. This cancellation will see the loss of jobs for more than 200 crew people, and now with even less opportunities for actors to have full-time work, with Neighbours as their training ground, leaving Channel 7's Home and Away as their only real opportunity for full-time television work. Actor Stephen Dennis, known as Paul Robinson, has said, and I quote, "I keep bringing up the fact that we were the first production to come up with a model for us to get back to work during that first COVID lockdown. Little old Neighbours in Melbourne were responsible for all the production studios going back to work around the world." He has also said, and I quote, "Executive producer Jason Herbison had phone calls every day from studios around the world asking how we would do this. At the end of the day, it is just a television show, and television shows come and go. But because this has been so iconic and historic, it's a shame that it is not going to be able to continue what it has been doing for all these years." Current executive producer Jason Herbison has said, and I quote, "Ramsay Street is eternal, and I like to think it will live on in the hearts and minds of the viewers, long after the final scene. I would never, ever blow it up. The ending will be a celebration of the past and the present, with the door very much left open for a future." He has also said, and I quote, "Neighbours remains a beloved brand, and the response from the viewers has only affirmed that. We are open to all possibilities for the future, which is why we are considering the show rested. But for the immediate future, the show is ending in June, and the cast will be free to move on to other projects." An interesting and iconic 37 years of television. In other unfortunate news, beloved former Hey Hey It's Saturday star John Blackman revealed this week his recent diagnosis of bone cancer. Blackman, known to fans as Blackers, had tweeted on June 4th about his bone cancer news and that it was located on the top of his noggin, and unfortunately there was also mention of brain cancer. On a positive note, John Blackman mentioned that the cancer was moving up and down and not in multiple directions. He mentioned that he will commence 6 weeks' worth of radiation therapy. John Blackman tweeted, and I quote, "4 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with a very unexpected bone cancer on the top of my noggin and the possibility of brain cancer beneath. Yes, I actually do have a brain. This was the same aggressive cancer that took my jaw 4 years ago. Happily, the cancer, if there is a happy side to it, was spreading up and down and not in multiple directions. This could have made the surgery improbable." Prior to his long-running role on Hey Hey It's Saturday, John Blackman has enjoyed a long-time career in the media encompassing television and radio. He worked on radio stations 2UE, 3UZ, 2GN, 2CA and 3AW, doing various presenting roles including breakfast, mid-morning and evening radio. He also had additional roles such as an announcer, newsreader and copywriter, just to name a few. On television, he was a staff continuity announcer and a daytime news presenter for TCN Channel 9, as well as a booth announcer for GTV Channel 9 in Melbourne. He has also appeared on other programs such as Blankety Blanks, The Paul Hogan Show and Family Feud, just to name a few. But he is best known for his role as announcer and as the voice of the cheeky and mischievous Dickie Nee on the long-running variety program Hey Hey It's Saturday, which ran from 1971 until 1999, with brief revivals and reunions between 2009 and 2010. He was also involved in the show's 50th anniversary, which aired in October last year, and the 100th special, which aired earlier this year. Channel 7 entertainment reporter Peter Ford said, and I quote, "John is very stoic, very positive, as indeed is his wife, Cecile. She's an amazing woman. She's really John's rock. They are very beautiful people. Horrible things shouldn't happen to beautiful people, but unfortunately, they do." And that was the week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rusi Komaitai, and until next week, it's back to Kez and Danni.
Wow! What just happened, Emma?
We got a lot of facts thrown at us in a very small amount of time.
That's exactly what happened. Well, I had a lot of facts thrown at me, and then we put it through the little lensy thing over there, and then turned it into a digital image, and then I edited it, and then I stuck it on YouTube, and then now you're watching it. That's what happened.
Yeah, it's filmception.
Exactly right. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Rogues Den Show. I've been Kez.
And I've still not been Dan.
And don't forget to like
Comment.
and subscribe. We'll catch you around next fortnight.
Bye.
Bye.